Am I the a-hole for refusing to give my late ex-husband's kids money, especially after they tried suing me? My late ex-husband and I had 3 kids together. We divorced because he had mental health issues that he refused to seek help for. He remarried a woman almost immediately after, and they divorced as well after they had 2 young kids together. 2 divorces in 5-year span prompted him to finally get help, and he became a much better person, and we re-established a close friendship. When he got sick, could no longer work, and his medical bills were bankrupting him, I offered for him to live with me and our kids. When he passed, I established Social Security for my kids and moved on with my life, and I assumed that she did the same. The kids are now all over 18. 3 years ago, I got a court summons. His 2 other kids decided that their father had remarried me, and I stole all his money for myself/my kids. I was basically just the devil, and they were going to get what they were owed. This was completely wrong. I never remarried my ex. While we lived together as a family for the past almost 6 years, it was not even a little romantic, and it would have been stupid to remarry him. His medical bills were insane. There was no money for any of the kids, because he had no money. I was fine to have his kids come over, which was usually 50-50 aside from years 2 and 6, but I never pretended to be a parent to them. The reason there's some money now is because I was able to establish a good career, and my current husband was established when we met. I tried to talk to them, but they wouldn't listen and insisted on going before a judge. During the hearing, when records were pulled out, they switched to the argument that my ex acted as a stay-at-home parent for me, which allowed me to grow my career. This didn't work, and their case was dismissed. Now, they're not only still low income, but they have racked up the lawyer's fee. They're now crying to anyone that will listen about how evil I am to bankrupt teenagers, and how they're even more unable to go to college because I won't be fair. Some of our mutual relatives are now saying that I should care more about these kids, because they were basically my stepkids, even if not by law, and that a family isn't that black and white. Now for the top comments. Not they hole. They played dirty and now they're paying for it. Not your problem. Crappy actions meet crappy consequences. I like to say good decisions come from experience. Experience comes from bad decisions. Not they hole. And clearly, they were either misleading the lawyer, this case seems unwinnable, or the lawyer was hoping you would settle. Either way, they're not your problem. The lawyer got paid. He probably told them the chances are low, but why should he try to convince them not to pay him a lot of money? Probably one of those unethical lawyers taking advantage of fatherless teens full of rage, promising a settlement if they put enough pressure on dad's ex-wife because the lawyer gets paid regardless. Not the a-hole. There's clearly not ever going to be a way for you to alter their perspective on this. I am sure they legitimately feel that you somehow were unfair to them in this complex situation. However, that's on them, not you. If they had to be caretakers for their dying father, their burden would have been worse. They can join the legions of people who get zero financial resources from their parents and make their own way. You were an amazing person for helping your ex, and you owe the kids he created after your relationship was dissolved nothing. Plus, the kids had their own mother. It sounds like at the time of his passing, those kids might have been under 18. If their mom didn't go through the steps with Social Security for them to receive a portion of their dad's death benefit, well, tough. It sounds like the dad might have had 50-50 shared parenting with wife too, so there might not have been a child support order in place. Again, that's on wife too to explain to her kids, but I wouldn't be surprised if those kids heard a lot of "your dad is a deadbeat," even if support wasn't warranted in the case. These kids might be working from a baseline like, "Dad doesn't pay." Hope he will never know. Funny, I bet that those kiddos didn't step in as his heirs to settle any outstanding debts he had, if there were any. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for not paying for my stepchildren's college? I, 49, have 2 stepchildren, Leo, 19 male, and Adam, 17 male. I entered their lives when they were 7 and 5, and despite my efforts, they never warmed up to me. I wasn't trying to be their mom, but just another loving parental figure. They told their dad how much they didn't like me when told them that we were engaged, and told my husband that they didn't want him to get married. Their dad reassured them that they would always be a big part of his life, and asked them to give me a chance. We even went to their mother for help, but she refused. They refused to come to the wedding and wouldn't spend the holidays with their dad if I was there. I was hurt over it for a very long time, but eventually grew to accept that this is how things were going to be, and just tried to focus on my own children. Although my husband always held out hope that one day we could all be one big happy blended family. Tragically, my husband passed away in an accident. It was hard, and after the funeral, Leo and Adam never reached out to us again. They barely acknowledged their half-siblings, 9 male and 9 female, at family events with my husband's side of the family, and I was sad for them. Fast forward to now, and my niece, sister-in-law's daughter, is going to college, and I agreed to give her $30,000 after sophomore year. My husband loved his sister and niece, so I was more than happy to do it. Word got back to Leo and Adam, and they learned that their father had a huge life insurance policy that I was the sole beneficiary of. Plus, my side business is now turning over a sizable profit. They reached out to me angry that I was hoarding their father's money and threatening to sue if I didn't tell them how much I got and get half. I was upset, but calmly explained to them that 1, life insurance isn't the same as an inheritance, so they had no legal claim to it. 2, when I initially received the payout, I gave some to their mom to hold on to them until they were of age. They didn't believe me until I sent them proof, and apparently their mom used the money to cover living costs and there was nothing left for them. Since I used some of the insurance money to fund my business, mother-in-law is asking me to pay for Leo and Adam to go to school, but I don't want to. They literally haven't spoken to me in years, and the first time they do is to demand money? Mother-in-law asked me to think of my own children, and how Leo and Adam may take out their resentment towards me on them. If that's the case, then I don't care to foster a relationship between them. Am I the a-hole? Edited to add. I keep saying this, so I'll add it in here. 1, the life insurance policy was through my husband's job, and I was automatically named. My husband could have changed it, but didn't get around to it. 2, while my stepchildren were never named in the policy, there was always an understanding between us that I would give up some of the money to help Leo and Adam out, which is why I gave it to their mom. 3, no, there wasn't an official will, but it was my husband's intention to make one once he turned 60, but he died in his late 40s. 4, as for survivor's benefits, I can't say if Leo and Adam got some, since their mom and them never talked to me, and I never received anything in the mail about it. I'm guessing their mom took the money I gave her and didn't think that she would need anything else. Edited to add. Again, keep seeing this as well, so I'll comment here. 1, while I don't feel comfortable giving the exact amount, I will say that I gave their mother around 40% of the overall policy. It's the same amount that I saved for my children, while keeping 20% for myself as a spouse. Part of my 20% is what I used to start my business. 2, I didn't put the money into a trust for them because I trusted that their mom would do what she thought was best for them and didn't bother to keep tabs on it. 3, up until they called me, I didn't know my stepchildren didn't have money for college. 4, neither my husband or I had wills at the time because we thought we were both too young for those. But since his passing, I have made one for myself. 5, my stepchildren are welcome to try. But I doubt that they can sue me for anything because most of my husband's savings went to paying funeral costs and any debts he had prior to his death. The house we lived in was a gift from my side of the family with the condition that it would be solely in my name. 6, I also love sister-in-law's daughter and have a relationship with her, which is one of the reasons why I'll be giving her $30,000. It won't take care of all her expenses, but it is a good start. Not a hole. Do not let the people around you guilt you into spending the life insurance money, plus your hard-earned cash on ungrateful children. You owe them nothing. Mother-in-law asked me to think of my own children, and how Leo and Adam may take out their resentment towards me on them. They already don't even acknowledge their half-siblings. There's nothing more for them to resent. The gall of that woman. Like she doesn't have a front row seat to how her eldest grandkids treat their young siblings. Mother-in-law can pay for those 2 jerks. Leave Opie alone. Mother-in-law can also take it up with her son's first wife. Not a hole. Leo and Adam are already resenting their half-siblings. Plus, you already gave money to their mother for them, but she used it all. Your money, your choice. You owe them nothing. Yeah, It's their mother they need to be taking this up with, but probably realize it's all gone, and so are going to try and humbug off Opie. I've noticed a lot of the time, in-laws and similar relatives believe anything their relative contributed to the household was his/hers exclusively, but anything the spouse contributed or was given is marital property. I am also sure if Opie had put it in a trust for the kids and her as trustee, they would have accused her of micromanagement, or basically wouldn't trust her to keep her word. Not an a-hole. They haven't spoken to you in years. They barely acknowledge they have siblings. You literally gave their mom money for them. Why would they think, and they are ridiculous to think, they are entitled to more money for college? Next story. Am I the a-hole for not splitting money from my son's college fund to give to his stepsister? My stepdaughter's dad is a very wealthy man. I have only one son from a previous marriage. Since her father claimed he already had a college fund for her, since her father told us that, we didn't really save up a college fund for her since she already technically had one. When it was time for our stepdaughter to go to college, she asked her father for the money and he said had lost the money on spending on his multiple mistresses over the years. Our stepdaughter asked for another set of college funds since he already had millions, but he refused. My stepdaughter came to me and my wife, and the only way she would get a college fund is if I split the money from my son's accounts. My wife wants to accept it, but I don't. It wouldn't be fair, and we were led to believe he still had that money, so our son shouldn't be punished for it. My stepdaughter proclaims she hates me and my wife, and in-laws are stating I'm an a-hole who's heartless. They say I don't care about her future. I don't think I should be blamed for this, but her father should be the one getting yelled at. Am I really being cruel here? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. You were led to believe that she already had a college fund set up for her. You provided a college fund for your child, and you were not obligated to split that, / share it with someone else who was supposed to already have one. Your stepdaughter is not the a-hole either. She has a right to be upset over the situation and angry at you though. Your stepdaughter's dad, on the other hand, is the big a-hole for spending his child's college fund that he has told you and your wife he has set up, especially when he's not limited on cash. Soft a-hole for your wife, because she should have set up a separate college fund for her daughter, because it shouldn't fall to a single parent to contribute to the fund regardless of one party having more money. If she hadn't separated from her ex, she likely would have been contributing to it anyway. I disagree. Stepdaughter does not have a right to be mad at Opie, and her anger is misdirected. She should be mad at her dad. Like WTF. Also, the fact her dad has the money but won't spend it on her education, whereas Opie doesn't. They saved for years, and I agree, his son shouldn't have to suffer because her rich dad just doesn't feel like it anymore. My wife would most likely save money for her if they hadn't separated. Not the a-hole. Have your wife check her divorce degree. This is usually defined as part of the divorce. If it indicates that father was responsible, sue for the college fund. Wait, so the dad promised and went back on his word, but she hates you and everybody else blame you? Not the a-hole. I mean, the only one at fault is stepdaughter's father who clearly has the money, but for no reason decided to punish her. But you two as parents also at fault for simply trusting him and not preparing for the worst. Are you telling me that neither of you knew the man well enough to see this coming? Someone clearly didn't learn a lesson during the divorce. I still don't understand why he would spend specifically that money in that account, but the guy apparently has millions anyway. It seems like he never wanted to pay for college in the first place. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for asking my stepson to move rooms when the new baby arrives? My husband has 2 kids, a 17-year-old daughter Cassie and a 10-year-old son Brad. Cassie decided that she would live full-time with her mom when she turned 16, which she could legally do at that age. My husband and his ex-wife share 50-50 custody of Brad, week on, week off. In January of this year, my husband made a decision that he wanted to move to and buy a new house in another city that is 2 hours flight away. This meant that we would have to fly back every second week. We kept an apartment here, when we have custody of Brad as he goes to school in the city we used to live in. Since January, the past 4 months, Brad has spent a total of 5.5 weeks, elapsed, at our new house over the various school and public holidays. He stayed 2 weeks in January, half a week in February, half a week in March, and 2 weeks in April. Our new house is 4 bedrooms. The master bedroom which my husband and I share is at the end of a long hallway. Right next to our room is Brad's room for when he comes to visit in the school holidays. Between his room and the next room is a space where we have an office space, desk and chair, set up. The next room is Cassie's room for when she comes to visit in the school holidays. The room next to Cassie's room is a spare room. I'm currently over 5 months pregnant and have suggested that we switch Brad's room to the spare room, or Cassie's room, since she's only been over 2 weeks in the past 4 months and doesn't really care since she doesn't view it as her room, and make Brad's current room the nursery. My husband doesn't want the baby sleeping in the same room as us, even though it's recommended by doctors to reduce the chances of SIDS, which was why I want the baby in the room right next door to us, so at least he will be close. I'm anxious about SIDS. It's my first biological child, and it would make me feel better to know that he is at least next door, so I can run over if anything happens and I can hear him. Brad doesn't want to move rooms, and my husband is agreeing with him, and says the baby should be in the room at the opposite end of the hallway, 3 bedrooms away. He's of the opinion that if SIDS were to happen, there's nothing we can do anyway. We've had a massive argument about it. He thinks making Brad move rooms will make him feel like he's moving down the pecking order, verbatim, and that we don't love him anymore. I just think that the house is more like a holiday house to Brad, as he's only there during the holidays and doesn't view it as his home, and he hasn't spent any great length of time in that room. The benefit of easing my anxiety and lowering the chances of SIDS seems like it's worth asking Brad to switch rooms that he's only spent a few weeks elapsed in. Am I the a-hole? Not an a-hole, but do not do the "it's my first biological kid" thing. It's irrelevant and definitely reinforces the moving down the pecking order thing. The baby needs the room because it's a baby, not because it has your genes. When my baby was born, I really wanted him to used to sleeping in his own crib in his own room right away. So I put our guest bed in the nursery and slept in there for the first 6 months. You are going to be getting up with the baby several times a night for months, and the closer the baby, the less work it all is, and the easier it is for you to get back to sleep. I would 100% recommend putting an extra bed in the nursery, but I'm worried that would signal your husband you are doing all the getting up. You need to have a conversation with your husband now about how much he intends to do the night waking with the baby, because refusing to have the baby in your bedroom combined with being okay with the nursery being hell and gone from your bed looks like he thinks he won't have to be bothered to take his butt down the hall all night long, and he intends to make it your problem. Even if you are breastfeeding, he could get up and change the diaper and bring the baby to you, or walk and soothe the baby when she's awake but not hungry. This dude needs to be prepared to do his share, and it doesn't sound like he's getting ready to. My husband doesn't want the baby sleeping in the same room as us, even though it's recommended by doctors to reduce the chances of SIDS. There's your real problem. I think you should fix that first before asking your stepson to move. I would say the only a-hole is your husband. Though, out of curiosity, what is the size difference between stepson's current room and the room you want him to move into? The room size is exactly the same. His room, Cassie's room, and the spare room are all built the same way. Same size, same wardrobe space, same side of the house. All 3 rooms have a window. He's of the opinion that if SIDS were to happen, there's nothing we can do anyway. Pump the freaking brakes! If my husband had said that to me when I was pregnant, I would have reevaluated our entire relationship. That is such a callous and cruel thing to say about your future child, and patently untrue. Proximity to parents does prevent SIDS, and you're going to need to get up several times a night for feedings. So obviously, the baby should be as close to you as possible. Not an a-hole. And demand your husband attend both parenting classes and couples therapy ASAP.